Okay, well, David Pocock, welcome to Content Group TV.
Thanks for having me here.
For a young man, you've achieved so much already in your professional career, and you've been recognised so far the Young West Australian of the Year. But if we might just go back to the beginning and just tell us a little bit about those early years for you growing up in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, sure. I grew up on a family farm. I guess pretty much since I can remember. My dad moved onto it to farm with his dad in would have been 1990, and then grew up there. I've got two younger brothers. We went to school in town about 30 k's away, and yeah, I guess had a pretty lucky childhood living on a farm. We really enjoyed school and sport and all that sort of stuff. And then yeah, it all sort of began to change. I guess 2000, things really changed politically in Zimbabwe, and after that, the government started the land redistribution program. Our farm was taken, and Mum and Dad just decided it was time for a new start, and we were fortunate enough to get visas, skilled visas to come to Australia.
Do you remember that time when the farm was taken?
Yeah, I do remember it. It was very unsettling. Despite Mum and Dad, I guess, trying to shield us from a lot of it, you were still very aware of what was going on. There was a lot of unrest, right around the country, in cities and also obviously on the farms. And I mean, I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to move to Australia, and very thankful that my parents made the move. But the reality is that for I think about 1 million farm workers who lost their jobs and their livelihoods and all the rest, and were just forced off because they were seen to be siding with white farmers, the realities are very different.
And as for you, like the day-to-day reality as that turmoil started to take hold, how did it affect you as a young boy of, say, 12, 13 years of age?
I guess kids are pretty resilient and adaptable, and you focus on school and you focus on sport. And I mean, I think everyone was sort of going through it. Everyone at school was aware of the troubles, and I had a lot of friends who lived on farms their families were going through a similar thing. So I think you just had to deal with it. I think it wasn't until we moved to Australia, and I guess you get a bit of a different headspace and a chance to look back, that you realise, I guess how emotionally draining it was, and how much of a toll it took on our family.
And when you talk about the toll that it took on the family, what sorts of things did it do to the family?
My youngest brother, when we first arrived in Australia, suffered from post-traumatic stress, and yeah, was pretty bad. It was outpatient in hospital for about a year, and I think that with the move, and I guess a huge culture shock, moving from a tiny town to Brisbane, and everything that goes with that, and also Mum and Dad trying to work, and because we lost the farm, we pretty much just arrived here with suitcases and not much else. So I guess all that adds up.
And how was that arrival for you in Brisbane, the big city, the big change? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it. We got picked up by a family friend and stayed with them for about a week before we found a little place to rent. Me and my brothers were really excited about it. The plane trip over was the first time in a jumbo jet. And I remember getting yelled at by a hostie for sleeping underneath the seats. But yeah, it was obviously a huge change, and it took a couple of years, I think, to get used to it. I think it's just the shock of living in a big city. Culturally, things are very different. School is very different. But yeah, you get used to it, and I've loved it. It's been such a great opportunity, and for me personally, I felt so welcomed, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had.
And that transition, how did the rest of the family, you speak of your brother, I understand that, but how about your dad and your mum? How was it for them coming from a farm life to a modern capital city?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many families who have immigrated with kids at school, and I think in the long run it's so much easier for the kids because you turn up to school, you make friends, and really by the time you finish school, you've got a huge network of friends. Whereas it's very different for parents who move over, and they've really got to start again. And all the networks that they built up wherever they grew up are no longer there. So, yeah, I'm so grateful for them making the move. And yeah, I think it's been a lot tougher on them. My youngest brother, with all the help of Australia's medical system, sort of got through it and did really well at school, is now studying. My little brother's finished a degree and is working. So, yeah, I think it's definitely tougher for parents.
What sort of an effect do you think that experience has had on you as an adult? You are known for your discipline. You are known for your excellence. Do you think that those formative years has really helped make you who you are?
Yeah, I think your years growing up definitely have a huge influence on that, and your family has a really big influence on that. I think having moved at the age that I did, you're 14, you've got a pretty good idea on things when you're not a tiny kid. So seeing how much opportunity I've had here in Australia, and seeing how it's not really the same for a lot of the world, unfortunately, and there's a huge disparity between a developed nation, and I understand in Australia there's huge disparity again, but I guess to get the perspective of having that opportunity and really want to make the most of it.